The next day, from the New Japan Hotel, we went back out to Haneda Airport. And there we got boarded onto the Cat Jet, the Mandarin Jet, as they called it. It was a Convair 880, which was polished to the ninth degree. It gleamed in the morning sunlight. And we loaded on that thing. Again, first class, which was impressive. From Tokyo, we flew down to Taipei. Back then it was called Formosa. Now it was Taipei, Taiwan. Uh, there at Taipei, we again offloaded into company buses and were hustled down to a uninspiring hotel. It looked like a concrete cube, uh, called a new uh, the Tongi Fontaine, first hotel. And I checked in there, and there was nice people behind the counter, and was assigned a room on the fourth floor. When I got up to the fourth floor, I went down a corridor, and there were rooms on both sides of this. And I got a room onto the right side, and got into the room, and like most people you see in the movies, they jump on the bed. Well, I did and almost crashed because there was hardly any mattress there, and it was a hard wooden base on the thing. After getting my breath back, I unpacked my clothes and thought I'd look out the window. Well, I had a window there by the bed, except it was brightly lit and glossed over. It was actually a window into the hallway, so I had no outside view whatsoever. Well, I went ahead and took a shower and cleaned up and went downstairs. And there again, they had a restaurant in the basement, which was nice. But when you ordered things, you had to be very careful. They were not European or American style cuisine. When I ordered breakfast there one day, I found the chickens were fed from the residue of fish that they'd caught, and your eggs tasted fishy. So did the bacon because the pigs ate the scraps from cleaning fish. So I decided I better just switch to what the locals eat. Maybe it's better. And I did. Uh, there in the hotel, there, other than Jack Oyer, who I'd ridden over with, were two other pilots that had been hired by Air America. One I equated to the comic book guy Major Hoople, and there was another one there that had an annoying habit of clearing his throat constantly in the middle of a sentence, and you didn't know whether he was going to have a spasm or not. But they learned the same thing I did. Switch to the Asian food, and it's not going to be so nasty. Behind the desk in the hotel was a young gal by the name of Lena. Lena took a cotton to me and also provided as a tour guide. She took me all over Taipei, showing me various aspects of the city, and I really enjoyed that, except for a Chinese movie she took me to. And she bought a bag of what I thought was going to be popcorn, but when I dipped into that thing and pulled it out, it was a cricket. And I learned one thing: take the legs off the cricket because they got little sharp spines on them. The body part, after it's roasted, is quite good, but the legs definitely don't work well. We also took trips on a little local pond that they had rowboats on and Chinese graveyards which were really interesting because they had the history of whoever it was that was buried there in Chinese. I couldn't speak it, but she spoke good English and would read those for me. Now back at the hotel and down to what we call the head shed, the cat office building on Chungshan Road. And we went through an indoctrination procedure. First off, met the chief pilot, and he was an American, and he had a pipe that he smoked all the time. And this was a warning sign to me because in Detroit, pipe smokers were never elevated to authority positions because they didn't think fast enough. And we also met one of the senior vice presidents there. After that, we were handed off to the medical department, which I discovered the medical department was all Chinese. And one was a relative of General Chiang Kai-shek, the leader at that time. And we took Chinese physicals, which were very, very entailed and thorough. And then we had to go and take Chinese ground school. We found out that most of the airplanes that were operated in the Far East by this outfit were Chinese registry. So you needed a Chinese pilot's license. Well, the ground school was entailed, and some of these guys that was with us, they poo-pooed this whole idea. Why do we have to learn Chinese history? Well, for gosh sakes, guy, you must be lost because here we are in China, and you shouldn't have to learn their history because it's their country. The little gal behind the desk, Lena, coached me on the etiquette that you use when you take a formal exam from a Chinese examiner. And that was when you approached the desk where the examiner was, take your exam papers in both hands. It shows respect. Sit right in front of him, as close to the front of the classroom that it is. And also, when you turn it back in, hand it back in with both hands. Well, most people were not taking the Chinese airline transport rating test. They were taking the senior commercial written. Nobody had passed the airline transport rating test for about a year and a half or more. So I thought I'd just defy logic there, and I applied for the Chinese airline transport rating test. I took it, and all of the test was multiple guess questions or essay answers. The navigation questions you drew out on butcher paper and just be as neat as possible. And I did that, and it worked. I passed the airline transport rating test on their written. Well, I thought this is going to be a key to Southeast Asia, where most of the airplanes were Chinese registry or Laotian registry. And I'd already had my airline transport rating written test done in America. But no way. I initially was sent down to Bangkok, Thailand. And in the Air France building, we went through more ground schools on specific airplanes, such as the C-46, the Twin Beach, the Caribou, Dornier, and Helio. And as I completed all of those, got a message to go to Tokyo, Japan. So no Southeast Asia initially. I was going to go up to Tachikawa, Japan, fly DC-6s for Southern Air Transport Pacific Division. This I wasn't too crazy about, but I figured that this is going to be a step in the right direction, perhaps. And I left for Tokyo, Japan.